Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. I'm going to come on and I'm going to pray before I actually start because obviously God is who is in me and I love him and I can't do anything without him. So Father, I just come to you right now and I ask that you would anoint my mouth and give me the words to speak and what you would have me say. Even though I prepared and have wrote down notes, Lord, I pray that you just guide my heart and my mind and to speak exactly what you want me to speak. For you have anointed my mouth for your glory and your honor. And Lord, I pray anyone watching this would be able to gain wisdom and insight from you. In Jesus' name, amen. Calm my fears. I find every time I go to post a video, no matter when, it always seems to be uncomfortable. And the very first time of posting a video, and even the second time and the third time, was very weird, very uncomfortable. And even now, sometimes it can be very just uncomfortable and outside of the norm of something I myself would ever consider doing, trying to post videos and encourage other people. So, I'm all about growth and learning and loving yourself because at 40, I can say that I never really had that time to be able to really learn and love me. So, I recently came across the word codependency, and I wanted to share with you about codependency because I did feel like it resonated somewhat with me. I actually ordered a book on it and wanted to read further into it so that I could gain insight and perspective into my own situation. And so, and just, like I said, this is about, growing and self-growth. And I shouldn't even say self-growth because obviously I say it all the time, I'm a Jesus girl and I love God and I read his word. And so anything that's downloaded into me comes from him. So I say self-help, but it's God's help. So codependency, right? I'm going to give you the definition. It's a dysfunctional dynamic where one person assumes the role of the giver in sacrificing their own needs and well-being for the sake of another. It often has us funneling our energy into supporting people in our lives without making space for or even considering what we need for ourselves. And at first, I read this and, I kind of was like, because anytime I read anything, and I don't know if you're like this, but when you read something and it resonates with you, or it may be a truth area that's hard to accept, it doesn't feel good, and it's often hard to just own it, right? But if we don't own it, we don't acknowledge it, and how can we change? How can we grow? How can we fix it? So sit back and just soak it in and think about it and really own it, whatever it is that you may be faced with or challenged with. Fix this a little bit. There we go. So it's really funny because I had recently posted a video and I was led to tell you guys that, really take some ownership and write down like your likes, your dislikes, and get to know yourself, right? So like just that redefining of self and who you are as a person, and really take ownership of those things because your worth, your value, who you are as a person can increase in that. So tonight I was reading and it was funny because it's just confirmation. Anytime, you feel like you're giving out something or God tells you something and he always confirms it. He will always confirm it. So it says establishing a greater self-awareness is a large part of overcoming codependence. It can teach you more about who you are and what you want from life. So it's just confirmation because I know that I'm headed in the right direction as far as what I feel like I need to be working on in my life. And so I was really grateful for that. So 4 things that exhibit a codependent area or behavior in your life, right? You're self-sacrificing. You have a tendency to focus on others. A need for control, which may cause conflict, and difficulty recognizing and expressing emotions. Self-sacrifice, I don't know if that one was really like, I guess it can be if you're sacrificing your own needs and wants all the time. So I guess, yeah, I could say that I dealt with that a little bit. A tendency to focus on others. Yeah, I probably did that too. And I don't know if it's a mom thing too, wife thing, woman thing. You know, we have a tendency, I think, to nurture and cater to others naturally. But there should be a healthy way in which we do that. And I definitely believe I have some healthy aspects to that, but also that I have some negative aspects to that. The need for control, which may fuel conflict. Yeah, wanting to help and always fix, but I always felt like, you know, other people's stuff was mine to own, and that's not true. You know, I'm only responsible for me. I'm only in control of me. I can't own up other people's crap or stuff. You know, people have freedom. God gave us freedom. So we are free to choose. We're free to do what we please. But there's consequences, good and bad, depending on what we choose for our life. But, you know, that responsibility falls on you as an individual in your choices. But I used to own other people's choices, and that's not healthy. Difficulty recognizing and expressing emotions. So, when I first started this healing journey for myself a couple years ago, you know, that midlife crisis you hear about when you're young and you're like, you don't understand. I really understood that. I really understood it. I felt like I was experiencing someone I never knew. God had broken this barrier or wall around my heart that I had carried for my entire life. And I felt so outside of myself. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was like I didn't have the hardness. I was this soft and vulnerable person. And I just could not funnel through emotions. Like, I didn't know what I was feeling, what I was going through. Because I think for a long time, I just had disregarded myself. I didn't take time for me, learn me, deal with my trauma and my hurts and my pain. Like, I just never did that. So when I started to deal with everything, it was just super uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. I didn't know how to be this vulnerable girl who expressed her feelings and emotions, because I would just tuck everything down and deal with it internally myself, because I felt like my feelings didn't matter. And, you know, and it's funny because that is a codependent type behavior where you are putting the needs of everyone else above your own. And I remember in a therapy session when I had seen my therapist, when I was going through everything, I started seeing somebody. And go get help. If you need therapy, go get it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually wisdom. But when I was going through everything, I remember in that session, I told him, I just have always felt like my feelings didn't matter. And the one thing he said to me was, well, your feelings didn't matter when you were being abused. And that was the first time a light bulb went off in my head, because that never was, like, there was no consideration for the sexual abuse that I had went through, because I had hid it and just tucked it away and never dealt with it. And so really getting down to the root of where everything started in my life, you know, that's not the soul. It was the soul issue, I would say, for why I had certain mindsets, certain behaviors, and I really had to go back to where it all started. And so, yeah, so I just have always felt like that, like my feelings didn't matter. So when I started, you know, just experiencing life and, you know, maybe went through some hardships, I didn't feel like I mattered, like, to a certain degree. What I needed, what I felt, what I desired, And that was something within me that needed to change, because although I probably was hurt at times or my feelings were validated, it didn't always feel like that. And I'm sure there was times where they weren't validated as well, so, but taking that ownership and really accepting that and knowing that within myself, like, okay, this is an area you need to work on and you need to fix. So some of the some dysfunctional codependent beliefs that I came across, and I wrote down just a few, there was multiple, but some of the ones that I felt like resonated with me personally, because I did used to feel like this. So one is, number one, that I just said, your feelings are irrelevant. I have felt like that for a long time, and being hurt or having hurt put on me, or maybe hurting myself, again, that only fueled those feelings and those beliefs that my feelings don't matter. And then that can start to go into your self-worth and how you view yourself and just all of that. You don't talk about how you feel. I really struggled with this because I did feel like my feelings didn't matter. So what was the point to express them? What was the point, right? Hide how you truly feel. That was me. Never spend money on myself. That was me. You are selfish if you do spend money on yourself. That was me. I would have no problem spending money on my kids or my husband or someone else, but for myself, if I would purchase something, I'd feel guilty about it. You never set boundaries because then people won't like you. I never had healthy boundaries. I said in videos before, I came from a large family, being sexually abused. I just never established and learned healthy boundaries. I just didn't. And then something I read too was like, when your needs are constantly unmet, even in childhood, and just FYI, like, sexual trauma can cause people to become codependent. But if your needs are unmet, then you don't really learn this ability to really assert yourself and state what you need. And so having those feelings, like my feelings don't, or having those thoughts of my feelings don't matter, then how do you assert yourself? And if I don't even know what emotions I'm feeling or going through, how do I say what I need or desire or want? And then feeling like it's your job to take care of other people. Yeah, I felt like that for a long time, which we have certain responsibilities to people, but not to take care of people, especially grown adults, right? So those are just some of the things that I read tonight and wrote down and journaled about tonight, because I do recognize, some things within myself that, I'm still working on and working through, and codependency isn't healthy, and we have to learn healthy boundaries and healthy relationship tactics and things like that. And some of the, let's see, so like in a healthy and supportive relationship, it involves listening and striving to understand and keeping in mind the concerns of a person, but we're not trying to direct them or control them. So healthy dependence, state your needs and your desires, ask for support when you're struggling, feel safe and comfortable expressing your own needs. And that's a big one. You have to be able to feel safe and comfortable with sharing what you need, right? And letting others know when they are asking too much of you without worrying they'll reject you. So one of the biggest things for me in this is just learning better communication and a better ability to state what I need and what I'm going through, and knowing that my feelings do matter. What I want matters. What I desire matters. And again, it's just knowing yourself and loving yourself and being okay with expressing what you need in that safe place, and not worrying about what somebody will think of you. I always say like those weird, quirky things about yourself that maybe you're like, oh, that's kind of weird, but yeah, just owning it, accepting it. If someone loves you, then they love you for all of it, even the weird stuff, right? So just truly learning a healthy state of mind, and that's what I want for my life. And again, you know, at 40 years old, I never really had that time. And so just having that time now and spending that time learning myself, growing, whatever, you know, this healing journey, and I'll say it again, is messy. And only in the last like year have I actually been in a clear state of mind and feel like I can breathe a little bit. Because for a long time, things were very heavy for me, very traumatic for me, you know, dealing with the old and the new hurts. And it just let me know I can make it through anything. I can make it through anything. You know, you never know what other people go through. And that's why it's so important to be kind and loving, even to those that may be rude to you, mean to you. You know, your smile can mean the difference to someone because you don't know what people go through. And I'm thankful to God, so thankful to Him, because He provided so much during that time, for me being able to work at home for a year, to just great supportive women around me, and just their sacrificing ways to help support me and carry my burden with me, because I didn't always know how to express myself and ask for what I need. And I never wanted to be hurt or be put to shame, you know, and stepping out in a vulnerable state was so uncomfortable for me. So uncomfortable, because last thing I want to do is put my vulnerabilities out there and you hurt me. I had been hurt, I had been shamed, and I didn't want to feel that. But I'm learning, and I have learned, there's some great people in this world that God puts in our lives to be a support to us and a help to us. And if it wasn't for me being vulnerable and open, admitting my flaws, my mistakes, owning them, forgiving myself, I wouldn't be able to breathe right now. I wouldn't be able to even share this video right now, or even try to encourage somebody else in their own journey. Healing's hard. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. There's some dark colors in there, but it gets better. It does get better. And it's a cry, because a little bit of a cry, because just thinking back to how much of a dark place I was in for a really long time. And I'm thankful now, because I've changed a lot. I've grown a lot through it. Learning healthy boundaries, knowing that it's okay what you've gone through, what you've been through, and just reestablishing yourself as a new individual, because we're new creatures in Christ, you know, and we're constantly growing, we're constantly learning. But yeah, codependency behaviors, healthy relationships, healthy mindsets, healthy behaviors, and the freedom to be yourself, allow others to be free, to be themselves, but having a responsibility as well, to those who are in your life. And, you know, that's another thing too. We can't make excuses for people or constantly bail people out for their choices and decisions. Choices have consequences, and that could be good or bad depending on what you decide. And we can't own other people's choices. We are only responsible for ourselves. Self-control. You can only control you. Others can only control themselves. And I no longer take responsibility for the actions of other people. I only take responsibility for me and how I can control what I do. So, codependent behaviors are going to be a thing of the past. So, anyway, I love you guys. I hope you were blessed by this video, and I will talk to you soon. Like, share, and subscribe. I love you. It's your girl Glow. Peace.